Hey there folks, Andre the Game Idea Guy here. Welcome to another pitch for Switch 2 discussion, and this time I'm going to be talking about The Evil Within 1 and 2, which makes sense as to why it should be brought over to the Nintendo Switch 2, since it's not on the first Switch, and they apparently couldn't find a viable way to bring it to the first Switch. And before anyone says, well, the team, I know about the team. And I also said the same thing about the Dementium series, which ended up on the Nintendo Switch when I was told it couldn't be put on the Switch. So, before you make that comment, know that I have a history with this type of thing. Yes, I do know about what happened with the team. And yes, I am saying that The Evil Within 1 and 2 could be ported to the Nintendo Switch 2. Even under the current circumstances. You just have to get a different team to port it. You could even get one of the teams Nintendo has to port the game. It's not an impossibility. It just takes a little bit more work to get done. So let's not assume it can't happen. Okay? Okay. Now, the reason I'm even saying that The Evil Within 1 and 2 should be ported to the Nintendo Switch 2 is because Nintendo fans actually like horror games. And this could be sourced by looking at Nintendo's top selling games list, and you'll notice that Resident Evil Revelations Collection, Resident Evil 6, which is a cloud version, and Resident Evil 4, not Resident Evil 6, 6 isn't a cloud version, take that back. But Resident Evil Revelations, Resident Evil 6, and Resident Evil 4 have all made it into the million sellers list for Nintendo. So to me, that says this is a viable option to bring this game over to the Nintendo Switch 2, since we didn't have it on the Nintendo Switch in any way, shape, or form. And I checked to be sure. I checked to be sure because I did make that mistake once before with Crimson Land, and the game was already on there. So I'm making sure I dot my I's and cross my T's for this. So again, this would be a perfect fit as far as I'm concerned. And if you get it in early enough while the console is still building its momentum, this would be the best way to get people interested, especially if this version of the game were to leverage some of the technology from the Nintendo Switch 2, adding in the mouse mode, doing the gyro aiming, hey, maybe even having amiibo stuff that works for costumes and stuff like that in game. It would be a good thing to do, and it could draw in more people, make people be interested in potentially playing the series again. Maybe even run the chance of reviving the series if it's successful enough, and it wouldn't cost as much to port it. So again, to me, I think that that's a good idea, and it's reasonable to assume that, again, based upon the fact that the creator of The Evil Within worked on the Resident Evil series, and Resident Evil has done well on the Nintendo Switch. So if history tracks from there, from the Switch to the Switch 2, then it should translate well for The Evil Within. Now, I'm not saying that's guaranteed, but I think that is a strong chance that this game would benefit from being on the Switch 2. And it would be even better if there was some sort of cross-save feature with like the PC version of the game. That would even make it even better. So if you've been someone who's been playing it on a PC, you can transfer your save data over. Maybe even make it just across the board for all versions of the game. If it's not already like that, I don't know personally. So I'm just going to assume it's not for the purposes of this video. But if it was, or if it wasn't a feature, adding it in wouldn't hurt anything. But yeah, that's it. I'm not going to drag this out too much more because I've made my point. I think that this would be a good fit for the Switch 2. And since it wasn't on, either one of them weren't on the Switch, it just makes sense to me. So thank you guys very much for listening in. Keep your eyes and ears out for more stuff from me. And until the next time, enjoy your games and peace out, everybody.